How's it going, Blazers? We're going to bring you specifications you can relate to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. This one is provided by Kubey. So this is actually the first Kubey knife I've been able to handle, which is a pretty cool thing. They've been out for a while, and they have a lot of new models as well, but that's going to be how it's going to ride in your pocket if you would like to take a look at that. And also, if you're going to stay around the video, I'll explain what this means and what this means as well. But we're going to be talking about that later also. But thank you to them for providing it to the group as well. But that's going to be this knife here. This is called the Dandy. That's going to be this knife right there, which is a titanium knife on OS 10. And then also thank you to Long Island Knife Guy for actually helping out with that connection to that company. So Long Island Knife Guy, if you want to check out for Sticker Pro, he has a discount code right there if you would like to use that to get 20% off. But that's going to be thank you to him for helping that for the Apex Pass Around group. So that's what this knife is. This is an Apex Pass Around knife. So it is pretty good size. It's going to be a larger knife for folks that are worried about that from the get-go. But this is going to be about the weight size side of it. It's going to be about 4.4 ounces. So as I started off, as far as talking about what that first topic meant, so 4.4 ounces, so that's about 22 quarters, and that's going to be how much that weighs. So if you have that many, or if you've been following the channel for a while and you already have your tools available to you, you have quarters, you're ready to go, you can see how much that weighs in your hand. So it's either going to be, so that 22 quarters, 4.4 ounces. So that's going to be how that would work for that. And then this one also for the sizing for hands wise, so you can look at for adult women's hand as well as adult male's hand. So this is going to be how it's going to be for you. So you can kind of look at that, also print it out in the description if you would like to actually see this. Print it out, put your hand on it, know where it is for you, so you can have a better idea as far as what this would sit in your hand if you were to pick up this knife as well. So that's going to be how that looks. Pricing wise, I was able to find it from anywhere from $69.99 to $99.99 for this knife with an MSRP of $118. So that's going to be the pricing on that one. I'm going to kind of put it out there how you will. It's going to be titanium handle scales and then OS 10 for the blade steel. And then we're going to look at the pull for it. So about 2 to 3 pounds is where I like to have a knife sit. And that's where I'm going to give you guys a lot of data points for it. So folks that have been with it for a while also know that as well. But we're going to see where this sits for weight. So 2 pounds, 8.7 ounces. Take that popped open, which is well in the range. So 2 to 3 pounds is where I like to see a lot of the knives for it. Things that are specifically thumb stud knives, probably about more of a 2 pound to get that, be able to flip out in all the different methods for that. So flipper is the way you open up for that. And that's going to be basically about, so going back to the first part of it, so this is about 2 pounds. So I mean, you figure this is going to be 2 pound, 8 ounces, so you're going to maybe have a half a can of another product. So you're going to be basically actuating at the most tension for it is going to be about 2 pounds, which is a big old can of baked beans that's going to ride on your finger to get this to pop open, and that's going to be just about that weight. So as far as deployment method for it, it's going to have light switch for it. You're going to have middle finger, which is going to be using that front groove area. So you're going to be able to do that for middle finger. Thumbs flick, it's kind of difficult for that one, but it's also able to do traditional, so basically a 2-hand open. So if you want to do a little bit slower open for it, and again, it is a larger knife, so you're not going to be probably, even in that deployment, it's not going to help as far as being not as intimidating. So 3.9 inches for the blade, Warncliffe for it. There's going to be a flat grind on the blade itself, so that primary grind is going to be flat for this one. And then OS 10, so OS 10 is going to be similar to probably about a 440C as far as material. That's going to be about corrosion resistance at about 23 percentile. Edge retention, as far as even comparison to the super steels out there, it's about 37 percentile. And then that's going to be about, also for the grip area, is going to be about 4.37 inches from this area here all the way back to the end of the blade handle. So behind edge thickness also, so about 6 sheets of paper is going to be behind edge thickness. So take that out of your printer. You can actually see how that's going to be 24 thousandths. And then also the degree of ramp, I refer to that. So when you actually disengage the lock, for that detent ball to be actually on the blade, it's about 15 degrees, which is actually really good. So that's where my baseline is. 20 degrees is really good, 30 degrees is okay, and 40 degrees, that's a bit much. So that could probably change. So blade stock thickness also is going to be about 3.05 millimeters. For some reason, in my mind, millimeters works better than inches. So that's going to 3.05 millimeters for that. Right hand tip up carry for this one. That's going to be how you're going to write in this. The reason for that is so it's against your seam or your pocket. So it's going to be right hand tip up. So if it opens up, it's going to be opening against the seam, not left hand. So you actually open up and actually possibly get cut by the blade, which isn't cool. Don't do that. Hopefully not. So that's going to be how this works. So about 3 pounds, 2.1 ounces to take this out of pocket. It's just a bit high. I mean, again, so thinking about Bush's baked beans, that's going to be about 2 pounds for that. So you basically have maybe another half of a can of that pulling out of your pocket. It's quite high. I think it's possibly due to this grooving that they have as far as adding that thickness for the pocket clip. Might add a little bit more retention for the clip itself because it doesn't give very much at all. So that might be a reason for that. So it's stylistic, but functionality wise, it probably could have been done well with just a little bit thinner to actually give it more of a give for that. And then for this, it's a pretty thick knife. So it's going to be about 0.56 inches, so about a little bit over half an inch thick. And then a lot of people go with a baseline of about ½ inch. It's kind of the standard for it. Lock bar area is a little sharp. So it doesn't have a lot of finish. It's not finished to the point where I feel is really good for it. So you're going to have those little sharp edges. But the packaging is really good. So that's one thing about Kubey. They have really good packaging. So this is actually something where you could use this after the fact. It's got good lining for it, for felt. We've got 2 knives available, so if you want to use this for any type of storage, it's a bit available for you. Works out really well. Kind of reminds me of the Tuya packaging. And their box actually looks pretty cool with this topographical map type of setup for that. But as far as this one, I would actually recommend try to avoid this. Reason being, okay, that's my opinion for it. So if all those other specs work for you and you love it, go buy it. And that's why a lot of those specs come before my opinion. But I would say to avoid this one because it just reminds me of a few years ago when Fura was out. And then the fit of it, I think that it's come further than where this one is right now, and especially for that $70 to $100 range, I feel you could find some other knives that might fit in better for what you're looking for. Again, this is maybe it's a nice knife overall, but just not for me, and not something if somebody were to ask me for some type of titanium frame lock, I probably wouldn't recommend this knife. So that's where I would say to avoid this one. But if all those other specs work for you, go for it, because that could be something where you really love it. There's the best pocket knife for you, but that's going to be how that looks. Also comparison to a Rat 2, also to a Bug Out, to get that size reference. But that's about all I have to say about that one today.